Hello, this is DungeonQuest, and I'm going to teach you a quick tutorial on basic rules and tricks about creep. Creep is an important offensive as well as defensive tool for the Zerg player. It provides vision, it makes units move faster, and it allows for that much needed map control that Zerg really has trouble getting in the beginning stages of the game. For me, I know that I always create a creep tumor with my second queen immediately after creation, and it's useful connecting the initial base to your expansion. So first things first, I make about 1 or 2 tumors right off the bat, and then later in the game I make a queen that's devoted specifically for creating creep. After you have a couple of creep tumors going on, what you want to do is quickly make them expand creep. So how you do that is, a hotkey that you can do is Shift and C, and you can actually left click and create multiple creep tumors all at once. And after doing that, I tried a bunch of different ways of doing it, like hotkeying it and re-hotkeying later on, but really the fastest way you can do it is just to box them and press Shift C and then basically left click to create this. So while you're doing this, you figure out that the more creep tumors you use, they actually create a faster build of creep. The creep actually spreads a lot faster with the more creep tumors you have. Now you notice that after you create the creep tumors, there's a little bit of a delay. It's actually 15 seconds before this creep tumor is created and is invisible. It's actually visible to your opponent right now and can be destroyed. After it comes to this point, it's actually considered basically burrowed. The person would have to have something to see it. There's another 15-second cooldown before you can actually create more creep tumors with the creep tumors you have produced. So altogether, to create this and to create more, it's about a 30-second lapse of time. Something that you need to know is that once you create a creep tumor, it can't go up like walls. It won't actually go up a wall unless you have some other creep connecting to it. One trick you can do is actually have an overlord come up on the high ground and create its own creep after you develop layer, because the layer tech is what you need before you can actually create creep with an overlord, and then afterwards create a creep tumor on the high ground. This is actually particularly useful if you want to use offensive creep and actually build this in an opponent's base. If it's a Terran, it would force them to scan within their base, costing them essentially 300 minerals. And it just gives you that capability to see what's going on in their base and prevent them from building more productive buildings. Another thing of note is that creep can go up hills, but it can go up onto high ground if there's a ramp. But the thing is, you can't expand it and create another creep tumor on the high ground unless you have vision of the high ground. So after that, you can actually create it without having to have an overlord create creep. Another little trick that you need to know, and that is actually pretty important, is that you can connect creep even though there's no continuous area. Let's say this was like a cliff or like something where there's nothing in between it. You don't necessarily have to connect it. There just has to be creep in between. So if there's, for instance, a cliff in between here, you just need an overlord, and you can create a creep tumor crossing the span. For instance, if I was here and there's this huge gap, I could just have some just creep spread through an overlord, and it would be able to expand it. So, you know, while we're on the topic, I just have to note that it's really hard to maintain this wall in the middle of battles, because you can't do it without really looking at it. You actually have to be looking at the part of the screen. So, and it's really hard to remember, but the thing is, like, this is such an important concept for most Zerg players. It really separates, you know, the beginning players from the people who are really capable of being successful as a Zerg player. When you look at a lot of the pros, when you can really tell the difference between someone who likes to attack on the ground and who likes to have a lot of vision and is a lot more reactive, is because you can see that they create a lot of creep. Creep is so important for map control, like I said before, and later on in the game you need creep to basically defend the rest of your bases, because later on, you want to be able to build your spine crawler wall that would basically defend like all your different bases because you'll have such a high supply, and you want to get rid of a lot of your workers. So, having that creep just creates so many different advantages, but, it's just really important to understand the timings as well as just a couple tricks about it. This is DungeonQuest, and thank you for watching my tutorial. Next tutorial, I'm thinking about doing something with Mutalisk play. Thank you so much.